This episode is sponsored by Code Crafters. As an engineer myself, I know that the best way to learn how to code is to build something new. But sometimes it's hard to come up with project ideas as well as find a community of folks on the same learning path. That's where Code Crafters comes in. With Code Crafters, you can build something that actually stimulates your mind while strengthening your engineering fundamentals. And you can do so by using your favorite IDE or tools to code and build your own Git, Redis, or HTTP server in the language of your choice. Languages like Rust, C++, or Go. Code Crafters is designed to optimize your learning experience as it's designed for productivity. Sign up today and become a better, more confident programmer. Visit codestory.co/codecrafters. That's CODECRAFTERS to get started and get 40% off your upgrade. Okay guys, I got a serious update for you. You heard me talk about SEMA and the product roadmap radar. I just caught up with Matt, who's the founder there, and he gave me the latest on what they are building. And my mind is blown. The team at SEMA are taking things to the next level. Built around the core of the product roadmap radar, i.e. code and Jira analysis, they are building agent orchestration across the product lifecycle. Picture this. You hook up this system same as before, i.e. integrate your repository and your backlog, Jira today. From that point, SEMA's agent analyzes the codebase and makes suggestions as to what needs to be done next and what could improve, optimize the product. Then, if those tasks are routine, the agent assigns the task to a coding agent, think something like Devin, to complete the minutia, while assigning the human-in-the-loop task to engineers themselves. What you end up with is engineers focusing on building core competency features, while AI handles all the rest. If you're not salivating right now, I don't think you fully understand what this means. But here's what I would suggest. Right now, their product is in a closed beta, and SEMA is looking for folks to sign up for their Product Intelligence Advisory Board. This gives you the opportunity to use the product, give feedback, help shape the future of what's built. Oh, and not to mention additional free usage of the product, potentially through the end of 2026. So, if that fits your workflow and toolset, you need to reach out today. Go to codestory.co/nextlevel, NEXTLEVEL, and reach out to Matt at SEMA to learn more and join the Product Intelligence Advisory Board. Again, that's codestory.co/nextlevel. This episode is sponsored by Postman. Postman is the world's leading API platform, trusted by 98% of the Fortune 500 and over 40 million developers. Tap into APIs from 18,000 plus companies to power agents that make smarter decisions. Learn more at postman.com/podcast/codestory. This message is sponsored by Melee Search. Today, search isn't just a feature, it's a cornerstone. And Melee Search gives your users the experience they need with lightning-fast performance, full-text search, AI usage, and multimodal capabilities. Melee Search delivers relevant results in less than the blink of an eye. Use the promo code CODESTORY at checkout to get 2 months free at meleesearch.com. That's MEILI search.com.
So by choosing this actor model-based design, we're able to spin up thousands of parallel agents in a single tiny container. So once we made the right design decisions, we tested how many agents can we spin up in a single 250 megabyte container, and turns out tens of thousands. Then we were like, okay, we have this ability to spin up tens of thousands agents in a single container. Occam allows us to connect securely several containers together. So how many agents can we spin up in parallel across a distributed fleet of containers that are connected using Occam? And turns out hundreds of thousands, even millions. My name's Mrinal Wadhwa. I am CTO and co-founder of Autonomy.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
Took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their
A
back.
company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve
I was
more.
proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
to ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Labpark, and today how Mrinal Wadhwa is enabling developers to ship autonomous products, from agents build to deploy in 10 minutes. This episode is brought to you by Paddle. Don't settle for less when you can have more MOR with Paddle, your merchant of record. Eliminate the headaches of payments, grow your revenue everywhere, and focus on what you do best, building your product. Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelOff. Check them out at propeloff.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com. Mrinal Wadhwa grew up in India with a dad in the armed forces, so he moved around a lot. His mother was a teacher for 40-plus years and greatly influenced his love for teaching. In addition to this, he grew up loving to build things. He was introduced to computers and the internet by his cousin, and at that point, he was hooked. But outside of tech, he is married and enjoys attending concerts in the Bay Area. He plays pool very seriously. In fact, he's the guy carrying the little bag into a party with his own pool stick. Mrinal is one of the minds behind Occam, a popular open-source Rust toolkit to build secure communications between applications. Late last year, he observed people desiring to build the layer between agent communications and set out to build something to do it the right way. This is the creation story of autonomy.
Autonomy is a platform for developers to build and ship autonomous AI products. You can find us on autonomy.computer. That's our website. And what it does is it's a tool for developers to run products for AI products for other people, right? Not build a personal script, but build a product that you want to give to customers. Now, these customers might be internal to your company or external facing customers, but it's about building these like reliable, scalable, secure products that you can be responsible for towards your customers. And the user experience of it is getting simpler and simpler by the day. But right now, for example, what you can do is write a little prompt in Claude Code and say, hey, here's a reference to the autonomy documentation. Build a app for me that uses AI agents to fact check news items, or it uses AI agents to automate a recruitment process. Like, so you can give these little prompts and you drop it into a coding agent like Claude Code or Cursor or something like that. And 10 minutes later, because you've given it that reference to our documentation, 10 minutes later, you will have a live product on the internet with a public URL, a set of APIs, streaming APIs. Under the hood, it's a multi-tenant product. So you have baked in kind of scope, isolation, user management, etc. You also get underlying databases managed and scaled for you. And you can create these massively parallel multi-agent fleets in this environment. So it's really good at scaling and connecting to various places where data might live at a company, like internal databases and things like that. So that's what autonomy is. It's a tool to build this new generation of products. Before autonomy, a few years ago, me and my co-founder, we started an open source project called Occam. And Occam is a really popular Rust library to create end-to-end encrypted, mutually authenticated, secure communication between systems or applications. So think of it like WhatsApp, but for applications talking to other applications. And these could be applications in one cloud talking to another application in a different cloud. It could be distributed parts of the same application talking to each other across clouds or across companies, etc. So we built this Rust toolkit, Rust is a programming language for developers. And so we built this toolkit that developers could integrate into their applications and build any kind of distributed communication system. And what we started to see is lots of developers were applying it to various problems, from cross-cloud communication to connecting to internal data sources or connecting to customer data sources. Like a really common use case was SaaS applications connecting to an internal database at a customer to enable that customer to use the SaaS application or in a fruitful way. And late last year, we started to also see some of our customers think about building agents and AI products and enabling the sort of the communication aspects of that using Occam. And that's when we started to think further about, look, if we do it ourselves, we can polish this user experience and make it really easy for our customers. And that's then started the journey towards building autonomy.
I'm curious about the MVP process then. So that's a perfect segue, perfect timing into that question. What was the process of building the MVP? How long did it take, and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life? Obviously, you're using Occam, but I'm curious about anything else you were, any sort of screwdrivers and hammers you were using there.
So our starting point was we had a bunch of things we've built around Occam, which gave us a communication fabric, a secure communication fabric. But then there was a lot more that we had to build on top. From the get-go, our key thought process was that we'd like this to be a highly scalable and secure place to run this next generation of products. So we started thinking about what features should such a thing have. And some of the features were really obvious. Okay, AI agents are starting to become a thing. So we need a mechanism for a developer to define what an agent is. How does it work? How does it use a language model? We need a place to serve language models and things like that. So this part was fairly obvious. The main choice we had to make there was, okay, which language do we expose this capability in? And we landed on Python because that is a really popular language for people building AI things. Over time, we might add more languages, but currently we chose that we'll make our framework for developing AI agents and autonomous applications. We'll provide that framework in Python. But in that environment, there is a key important kind of scalability decision we made early on. We chose that each agent in autonomy will be an actor, as in the actor model. An actor model is a design pattern developed in the 70s, and it's used in very highly scalable systems. Apache Spark uses the actor model. Discord uses the actor model. WhatsApp uses the actor model in the background. So these are like highly scalable concurrent systems in which a lot of entities are talking to each other in a very kind of streaming, messaging-oriented way. And so key design decision for us very early on was those properties are properties agents should have, because agents are these long-lived concurrent state machines, and you might want to run, for most applications, many of these agents. We chose to build agents in a way that they could be actors, and we could create thousands of parallel agents really easily and cheaply. So to do that, in Rust, we built a actor runtime. And we wrapped that actor runtime and the Occam communication capabilities together with a Python kind of wrapper. And that's what became our framework for building and defining autonomy applications, or autonomous applications, right? So what that enables for a developer is, without writing much code, they can define an agent. This agent becomes a stateful actor. You can run many replicas of these agents. So the end result is that an agent can create thousands of sub-agents to achieve a job faster. It's also really good for keeping context in an agent really small. So That was a key design decision. And then along the way, we made some other decisions. We're running in AWS. Primarily, currently, we'll add multi-cloud support later. And in AWS, we're running on their Kubernetes offering, EKS, and we do isolation with things like Fargate.
This episode is brought to you by Paddle. As a startup, you face unique challenges to stay competitive. You and your team need to stay focused on your product, not your payments. You need to do more, MOR, and DIY less. With Paddle. Paddle is your merchant of record, becoming the seller of record for your SaaS transactions, enabling your team to focus on what's important, your product. Paddle handles all payment management across multiple gateways and methods, taking ownership of tax liability while remaining compliant with regulations across all markets. The platform handles all aspects of SaaS billing models, upgrades, add-on, trials, and more. Let's look at the results. MOR revenue optimization is built into Paddle and accounts for up to 16% higher conversion rates, reduced payment failures, localized pricing, and churn prevention, recovering 40% of cancellations. Their developer-friendly tools are API first with comprehensive documentation, removing the burden from your engineers. With Paddle as your merchant of record, you'll generate more revenue, find and keep more customers, grow faster, and stay compliant everywhere. So what are you waiting for? Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. Okay, guys, I got a serious update for you. You heard me talk about SEMA and the product roadmap radar. I just caught up with Matt, who's the founder there, and he gave me the latest on what they are building. And my mind is blown. The team at SEMA are taking things to the next level. Built around the core of the product roadmap radar, i.e. code and Jira analysis, they are building agent orchestration across the product lifecycle. Picture this. You hook up this system same as before, i.e. integrate your repository and your backlog, Jira today. From that point, SEMA's agent analyzes the codebase and makes suggestions as to what needs to be done next and what could improve, optimize the product. Then, if those tasks are routine, the agent assigns the task to a coding agent, think something like Devin, to complete the minutia, while assigning the human-in-the-loop task to engineers themselves. What you end up with is engineers focusing on building core competency features while AI handles all the rest. If you're not salivating right now, I don't think you fully understand what this means. But here's what I would suggest. Right now, their product is in a closed beta, and SEMA is looking for folks to sign up for their Product Intelligence Advisory Board. This gives you the opportunity to use the product, give feedback, help shape the future of what's built. Oh, and not to mention additional free usage of the product potentially through the end of 2026. So, if that fits your workflow and toolset, you need to reach out today. Go to codestory.co/nextlevel, NEXTLEVEL, and reach out to Matt at SEMA to learn more and join the Product Intelligence Advisory Board. Again, that's codestory.co/nextlevel. This episode is brought to you by Vention, your partner in building smarter with AI. When you're moving fast, AI can be your biggest growth driver or a major time sink. That's why Vention created expert-led AI workshops, tailored sessions that help startups test ideas quickly, validate product fit, and avoid expensive detours. You'll walk away with a clear, practical roadmap built by senior engineers and an in-house CTO who've delivered over 150 AI projects across 30-plus industries, giving you not just technical direction, but the engineering peace of mind that every decision is built to last. Go to ventionteams.com or book your AI workshop now at ventionteams.com/codestory and go from idea to impact faster. That's ventionteams.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Fullscale. Let me guess, your team's shipping sprint velocity looks good, but you're still asking yourself, is anyone actually thinking about the why? Matt Watson's been there. He's the founder behind Vin Solutions and Stackify and now runs Fullscale with a 300-plus person dev team. And after 2 decades in the trenches, he's seen the same pattern over and over. Smart developers stuck in systems that reward ticket-taking instead of real thinking. That's why he wrote Product Driven, a playbook for tech leaders who are done babysitting developers and ready to build teams that own the outcome. If you're tired of translating every feature, doing all the thinking, or wondering why your smart team is still stuck, this is the fix. Go to productdriven.com/codestory to grab the book and get the bonus toolkit to help your team shift from output to outcomes, like 12 bold ways to get your retros out of robot mode. Again, that's productdriven.com/codestory. So then from that point, you've got the MVP and it's working. You've chosen the tools, you've got it up and being able to service customers. How did you progress and mature the product from there? And I think to wrap that in a box a little bit, what I'm looking for is, how did you build your roadmap? How did you decide that, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address?
So we had this like minimum viable thing where we were able to define a made up agent to do something. I think initially we started thinking of internally in the team, we were using examples. There's an agent that does translation of documents. And if it's given a lot of documents, it can split up that work into thousands of parallel things and translate thousands of parallel documents in a few seconds. So these were our initial examples. But you're right, like we didn't know if we're building the right thing and should we continue in this direction? What do we do? Pretty early on, we started reaching out to people in our network, friends, etc., and talk to them about what type of agents or agentic products are they thinking about building. And we found a few interesting scenarios through these conversations. So the first 2.5 months were us building in isolation, minimum demoable thing. I wouldn't even call it viable. It was minimum demoable thing that we could go show to someone so it would evoke their ideas. And then from there, as they shared their ideas of what they would like to build, we worked with them to build these things. The first customer we found, they were a bank. They wanted to build a loan processing agent, like a loan application document processing agent. So because we showed this like document processing example, they immediately went down this case of, look, we have these loan officers that receive phone calls, and during those phone calls, they're given hundreds of documents about a business to decide whether to give the business a loan or not. And currently, we're unable to use those documents in real time and make a really quick decision about, is this a person we want to issue a loan to or not? And so the example you've shown, if it could be transformed into this like parallel document analysis for loan applications, then it could be very useful for us. So we built that. And as we built that, we learned that we had not exposed some of the correct APIs, or we needed to tweak our interface, the libraries interface a little bit, etc. So we had these learnings. And 3 weeks later, we went back to them with a working example. And that's when some really cool things started happening. So what we noticed is that this director of engineering at this bank decided, okay, you've given me something working, I want to adapt it. And they immediately pulled up Cursor and started like improving the example that we'd given them and deploying it. And so what we noticed is that people are entering this like new age of building with coding assistants. This was about 5-6 months ago. And so immediately at that point, it sparked the idea that we should make it so that our documentation is really usable and friendly to coding agents like Cursor at the time, but later on Claude Code and Gemini, etc. And that has worked out really well. And so as we went to more customers, instead of giving them a working example, we started giving them these little example prompts. And we said, hey, why don't you go paste this into your Cursor or Claude Code and see what gets built and deployed. It takes 10-15 minutes, and then adapt it the way you want. And that has worked out really well. So in refining our like user experience and getting to this state where we feel like it's a minimum viable thing, this was an iteration of working with 5 or 6 different early customers around their specific problems, but in this kind of new way. And so a month ago, when we finally announced autonomy, we already had 5 customers live in production, applying agents for various use cases, from banking to pharma to recruitment and some other use cases.
I hear you saying we a lot. Tell me about how you built your team. And what do you look for in those people to indicate that they are the winning horses to join you?
Good question. So we are tiny at the moment. It's me and my co-founder. We met a few years ago and we were strangers at the time, but we met because we were saying the same things online about the problem of identity in distributed systems and this challenge of how do you enable trust in a complex distributed setting. And so we really connected on that, some of the thoughts both of us had shared online. And then when we met in person, we were like, okay, we're thinking about very similar challenges in the world, and let's go together and try to build something that goes and addresses this challenge. So that's what started the Occam open source project. We built a really nice community around it. It has, I think, 320 or 330 different contributors so far, and a much larger community that's using it. And so there was part of building the team was nurturing and engaging and encouraging that community aspect. But we also built a team of developers around Occam that as we transitioned over to autonomy, they've moved on to doing other things, and we're building autonomy from scratch as a new company. But yeah, that's been our journey so far. So far, we're just 2 people.
This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelOff. Check them out at propeloff.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com. This episode is sponsored by MailySearch. In today's digital landscape, search isn't just a feature, it's a cornerstone, and you need a user experience that drives customer satisfaction. You need MailySearch. MailySearch has lightning-fast performance, returning answers in less than 50 milliseconds. Yeah, you heard that right. Faster than the blink of an eye. The open-source AI search engine is plug-and-play, so you can get up and running in minutes with smart presets, allowing you to start searching through your data with zero configuration. MailySearch utilizes advanced full-text search and AI, ensuring your results are ultra-relevant with semantic depth. It's multimodal, supporting images, videos, and audio, along with being federated, i.e. searching across multiple data sources. And it's developer-friendly. Whether you're building a content-rich website or enterprise application, MailySearch delivers the experience your users expect and deserve. For a limited time, CodeStory users can get 2 months free. Use the promo code CODESTORY, all one word, at checkout. Just go to MailySearch.com and get started today. That's MEILI search.com. So let's move into scalability. Because it's so early, maybe this is still interesting based on what you're building. And I'm curious if you've already run into areas where you've had to, fight scale as you've grown.
Yeah, definitely. From the get-go, we decided we want to build for scale use cases. And so we wanted to convince ourselves that the architectural approaches we were choosing really did lend themselves well to scale. So the counterexample, if someone was not using autonomy, what they would be doing if they're building a application with lots of users that has agents is they would probably assemble a messaging infrastructure. So maybe use some real-time messaging thing like Amazon SQS or Kafka. So they'll place this messaging infrastructure in the middle, and then they'll try to consume messages off this messaging infrastructure in either containers running in Kubernetes that they provision themselves, or things like AWS Lambda and reacting to it. So this is the thing that a lot of people that are building and deploying agents currently are doing. We wanted to take a very different approach because what they're doing has really, really hard scale boundaries, right? So if you do that, first of all, you have to know how to provision a complex messaging infrastructure, design an app in an event-driven distributed messaging way. And then you have to provision a lot of underlying infrastructure, either run a complex Kubernetes environment or run things in Lambda, but then as you try to scale, sure, you can run a few hundred agents easily. The moment you get into thousands of agents, it starts to get really hard because in Kubernetes, you're running thousands of containers at that point. Or in Lambda, you're provisioning thousands of little Lambdas. And then you start hitting another problem is that agents by their very nature are not like apps everybody has used to building in the past. A 3-tier web app only consumes a few milliseconds of compute time on a server, whereas an agent is a long-lived thing that runs for minutes, hours, or days. And infrastructure like Lambda isn't really designed for that type of thing. In fact, AWS will, if you run a Lambda longer than like a few seconds, AWS will actively kill your Lambdas. That is the set of constraints the world without autonomy was dealing with. So our choice was, how do we design autonomy in a way that those constraints go away? And so by choosing this actor model-based design, we're able to spin up thousands of parallel agents in a single tiny container. So that's when we started, okay, can we do that? So once we made the right design decisions, we tested how many agents can we spin up in a single 250 megabyte container, and turns out tens of thousands. Then we were like, okay, we have this ability to spin up tens of thousands agents in a single container. Occam allows us to connect securely several containers together. So how many agents can we spin up in parallel across a distributed fleet of containers that are connected using Occam? And turns out hundreds of thousands, even millions, in a few seconds, they spin up. They can work on a task entirely in parallel and then spin down. And so we, of course, did a lot of measurement around, does this all work or not? And because of the work we'd already done with Occam, we also knew that we could move data, even though it's end-to-end encrypted data, at really high throughput and low latency. So that combined effect was that if you take a problem of analyzing lots of documents or running, let's say one of our customers is building a voice recruiter and that conducts first round interviews. So if their voice recruiter is conducting 1,000 interviews in parallel, you need 1,000 stateful agents running long-lived 1 hour long interviews in a voice-based streaming way. And so we ran tests of, can we support that type of use case? And turns out very easily. And similarly, can we process lots of documents very quickly? We had a different customer that is analyzing videos and images, like over a petabyte of videos and images. And they're able to use autonomy to do a parallel, almost MapReduce like distributed agentic processing of thousands of images in only a few minutes, which before autonomy would simply be impossible. So yeah, we've been dealing with a lot of scale challenges.
As you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built thus far with autonomy, what are you most proud of?
I think that my proudest moments have been like delight, seeing the delight of customers. And it's everything around AI and agents building things on their own and achieving complex goals on their own is all so new that every time there's like a success, even though we built it, we know it should work because we've seen it work before. Every time someone successfully is able to achieve a goal, it's very exciting to me personally, but it's even more exciting when I get to see others experience that delight. So for example, a week ago, Autonomy hosted a hackathon in San Francisco in the Ferry Building. And there were 150 developers here at the hackathon. And over a period of 5 or 6 hours, I saw several of them build and ship and make a live application using autonomy. And in many cases, I saw that like moment of delight of almost like multiple times. People were like, oh, it worked and it's live. And all I did is type 2 sentences. So it's pretty amazing when that happens.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
The world around agents is evolving rapidly, and understanding of what is the right way to build these types of applications is also evolving very rapidly. We made several kind of architectural choices that had to be corrected. For example, initially we thought that we will we will have long-term memory, and we will keep the entire history of the conversation an agent is having with its LLM in a loop, and we'll keep feeding that history back to the LLM. And it seemed to work initially. Like in our initial prototypes, when you have agents that only need to autonomously take 5 or 10 independent steps, that approach works really well. But if an agent needs to take 500 independent steps, if you keep all the history of the conversation it's been having with its LLM and with its tools, and you feed it back in, 10, 20, 30 iterations in, it's too much information to feed to an LLM. It's too noisy, and there's a term now in the industry around it, like it creates context rot. So what ends up happening is that the LLM gets confused and makes a wrong turn. And it makes a wrong turn, and then makes another wrong turn. The problem continues to compound, and the agent is never able to achieve its goal. So the learning from that was actually what we need to do is prune and trim very carefully what we send to the LLM in each iteration of the agent's loop. And if we do that well, we can have agents that are able to coherently work towards their goal over many hours. So I earlier gave that example of that interview agent that conducts first round voice interviews. What we saw was it'll ask 2 good questions or 3 good questions initially, but at the 4th or 5th question, it would start to steer the interview in some completely incorrect direction. And the reason was it had too much noise in its context. And so once we had this realization that we need to be careful about what we put in, we were able to run hour-long interviews. So this is just one example of type of mistake we made along the way, but there were several others.
Mrinal, this will be interesting, and this will be really exciting to hear the passion in your voice, which is already coming through in the whole interview. But I'm curious about what the future looks like for autonomy, for the product, for the company, and for your team.
About a year ago, we started to see website builders that were autonomous, right? So we saw examples like Bolt and Lovable and V0 and some others where they could pull together a website almost on their own. You gave it a little prompt and it pieced together a website. But it had all sorts of challenges. It's not a website you can build a company around. Maybe you can use it for some prototyping, gathering feedbacks, etc. But if it's a critical product of your business, you can't have it change behavior randomly, or you can't have mistakes in it. You want very precise control over how it looks, feels, behaves. And that so far hasn't been that easy to do in this kind of new way of building things. But that's changing. And autonomy is a good example of this. There are other people working towards this goal as well. I feel like Claude Code is a good example of this evolution. And so what I'm excited about is this possibility that we're able to build and iterate on products that are stable, production-ready, highly secure, and scalable in this kind of new approach of talking to the computer rather than writing all the code ourselves. But by no means do I mean that takes away the thing I love to do, which is build software, right? It's a lot of programming, engineering, thinking about systems, thinking about architecture is still very critical to success in this new way. But maybe we won't be typing a lot of it anymore. We'll instead drive these agents with either voice or other kind of spec-driven instructions. But I think that architecture is still very important. In fact, it's critical to success. But what's exciting to me about this kind of change is it's easy to iterate and see the paths that lead to mistakes, because you can very quickly create 5 variations of an approach or try 5 different approaches and see which ones leads to the right result. Whereas earlier in the old way of building software, we would have to spend weeks trying out each experiment. So I'm very excited about this new way of building software, which I think that borrows from skills that software engineers have built and developed over the years. And those skills are critical, but at the same time, it unlocks new possibilities to build more powerful, scalable things.
Okay, Mrinal, let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to, and why.
My parents are a big influence. They have a very sincere, dedicated work ethic, and that has been quite an influence throughout my career. Publicly, I learn a lot from my co-founder all the time. We spend a lot of time together chatting. He has a lot of experience with the Azure team before this and Heroku before that. I also try to find smart people online that have good balanced views, because there's also a lot of extreme views online these days, but good balanced views on how to evolve and learn in this kind of changing world. Yeah, there's some ways of learning.
Mrinal, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right down the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
Entrepreneurship is a long journey. If you look at Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, right? It's important to note that world is heavily influenced by selection bias, right? So what you hear is I don't know what the right ratio is. Maybe it's 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000 company that ends up raising millions of dollars. Or 1 in 100,000 company that ends up growing their revenue at an extremely fast rate or whatever. But those stories get amplified so much online that it feels like that's the journey all entrepreneurs have. And that's not the case. I know so many friends who are entrepreneurs, and even my own journey. It's a slow ride. You have successes, you have failures, you learn along the way. But it doesn't mean you can't build a successful business taking that slow approach. It's a long-term commitment to that goal of, I would like to build something, employ other people, create employment for and opportunities for other people to build interesting things with me. I guess my advice to someone like that would be prepared for the more likely outcome, which is this is going to be tough and hard and will take a long time, many years. And if you're prepared for it, it is a transformative, learning-centric journey and a lot of fun if you take it with that mindset.
That's fantastic advice. Mrinal, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of autonomy.
Thank you.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.